Admiral Jane Morrison looked at the large screen in the war room below the Pentagon. The room was cold and filled with military officers watching the same footage. It showed the first meeting between humans and the Galactic Council 3 months ago. On screen, tall aliens with blue skin and 4 arms spoke to Earth's leaders. They smiled and promised friendship, trade, and new technology. They called themselves the Galactic Council, a group of 17 different alien species who traveled between stars. "Play it again," Jane said. "Focus on the small green one in the back." The video zoomed in on a short green alien who stayed quiet during the talks. While the blue aliens talked about peace, this one was scanning the room with a small device. Frank Carver, the intelligence analyst sitting next to Jane, pointed at the screen. "There, that's when they planted the first bug." Frank had found 23 hidden devices after the council left. Tiny machines that watched and listened to Earth's leaders. Some were in the White House. Others were in the United Nations building. "They say one thing and do another," Jane said. She stood up and walked to the window. Outside, new defense systems were being built. Earth was preparing for trouble. Frank opened a folder and showed Jane more papers. "We found something else. The trade deals they offered us. They'd done this before with other planets. First, they make the smaller world depend on their goods. Then they slowly take control of the planet's resources." Jane nodded. The pattern was clear. The Galactic Council wasn't looking for friends. They wanted new worlds to control. President Allison Wright entered the room. Everyone stood at attention. "At ease," she said. The president looked tired. She had been in meetings for days, talking with leaders from around the world about the council's offers. "What do we know for sure?" President Wright asked. Jane pointed to a map of nearby star systems. "The council controls this area of space. They've added 6 new planets to their territory in the last 50 years. Each time, they started with friendly visits." Frank added, "They're especially interested in our water and certain metals we have. Their scans focused on the ocean and our mining areas." President Wright sat down and thought for a long moment. "They expect us to be grateful for their attention, to join them without questions." "Yes, Madam President," Jane said. "They see us as primitive, easy to fool." The president stood up and looked at everyone in the room. "Then they don't understand humans very well. We won't be controlled. We won't be tricked." She walked to the map and touched Earth's location. "Send a message to the council ship waiting at the edge of our solar system. Tell them Earth respectfully declines their offer of membership." A young officer looked worried. "Ma'am, they might see that as an insult." President Wright nodded. "They might. That's why we've been building new ships and weapons since they first arrived. They came expecting to find sheep. Instead, they found wolves." Jane smiled for the first time in days. "What about the other nations? Are they with us?" "Yes," the president said. "For once, the whole world agrees. China, Russia, the European Union. Everyone sees the threat. We're implementing the United Defense Plan immediately." Frank looked at the new shipyard plans on his tablet. "The council won't expect this. Their records show that planets usually accept their first offer." "Humans are unpredictable," Jane said. "That will be our advantage." The president walked toward the door but turned back. "Admiral Morrison, you'll lead our new space fleet. Pick your best people. We have 6 months before the council returns for their answer." "And if they don't like our answer?" Jane asked. President Wright's face became serious. "Then we'll show them why it's a bad idea to try to conquer Earth." As the president left, Jane looked at the star map again. The Galactic Council thought they were dealing with a simple, backward planet. They were about to learn a hard lesson about humanity. 6 months passed quickly. Earth's nations worked together to build defenses and ships. Old enemies became allies against the new threat from space. Major William Parker sat in the main room of Earth's United Defense Command. Screens showed the large alien ship entering Earth's orbit again. It was twice the size of anything humans had built. A blue light filled the room, and a tall figure appeared. It was Karleth, the main speaker for the Galactic Council. His 4 arms were crossed, and his eyes looked angry. "We have returned for your answer," Karleth said. His voice was deep and cold. "The Council expects Earth to join as a protected world. This is a great honor." President Wright stood tall. Even though the alien was twice her size, she showed no fear. "Earth has considered your offer carefully. We must decline. We wish to remain independent." Karleth's skin turned a darker blue. "This is not wise. Planets that refuse Council protection find themselves alone in a dangerous galaxy. You have one more chance to accept our generous offer." William watched carefully. This was an ultimatum, not a negotiation. He had seen this pattern before. In the last 6 months, his team had studied the Council's history. "We found records from 27 other worlds," William whispered to Admiral Morrison. "Each one got the same offer. Those that refused faced trade blocks or worse." Karleth continued, "You have 3 Earth days to reconsider. If you join us, we will place only a small Council base on your moon. If you refuse again, there will be consequences." After the alien disappeared, William showed the room his findings. The Council has a standard plan. First, they offer protection. Then they place a base. Within 5 years, they control all space travel to and from the planet. Within 10 years, they take the resources they want. Across the room, Commander Olivia Martinez raised her hand. "Sir, my team intercepted Council communications. They already have plans for Earth's integration. They expect us to give in." The President looked at Admiral Morrison. "Are we ready?" Jane nodded. "Our first fleet is hidden behind Mars. The second is near Jupiter's moons. They don't know about our new ships or weapons." William brought up a map of the galaxy on the main screen. "The Council thinks we're stuck in our solar system. They don't know we've been sending small ships out for months. We've mapped their supply routes and found their weak points." President Wright made her decision. "We won't wait for their deadline. Launch Operation First Strike now." Across the solar system, Earth ships powered up their engines. These weren't the simple rockets of the past. Earth scientists had made huge advances by studying the small alien ship that crashed 50 years ago in New Mexico. On the Council mothership, alarms began to sound. Karleth rushed to the control room. "What's happening?" A green alien with 6 eyes looked up from the scanner. "Human ships are leaving their hiding places. They're everywhere." "Impossible," Karleth said. "They don't have that kind of technology." On Earth, Olivia Martinez watched the data coming in. The first wave has jumped to light speed. They'll reach the Council supply base in the Proxima system in 3 hours. William smiled. Second wave is heading to the neutral star systems near the Council border. They'll establish our forward bases. The President watched the screens with a serious face. The Council gave us no choice. They came expecting us to bow down. Instead, they'll learn that humans don't take well to threats. Admiral Morrison nodded. "They thought we would respond with talk or simple defenses. They never expected us to strike first, or to have ships that could leave our solar system." Outside the command center, people around the world watched the sky. Most didn't know exactly what was happening, but they knew Earth was fighting for its freedom. Humanity had rejected false diplomacy. Now they would show the galaxy their strength. The Galactic Council had never faced an enemy like humans before. Most species fought wars in the way the Council expected. They would gather their ships in big groups and attack head-on. The Council knew how to win those fights, but humans did not play by these rules. Chief Strategist Daniel Harris made sure of that. "Hit them where they don't expect it." Daniel told the ship captains over the secure line. "Never attack the same way twice. Never stay in one place long enough for them to find you." The Earth ships were smaller than Council ships, but they were faster. They would jump into a star system, attack a Council base or supply ship, and jump away before the council could respond. In her lab on the moon, Dr. Samantha Powell worked day and night. Her team had captured council technology from their earlier visits to Earth. Now they were taking it apart and learning its secrets. "Look at this," Samantha said to her assistant. She held up a small silver box. "This is how they communicate across the galaxy. If we can understand it, we can listen to their plans. Maybe even send false messages." After 3 weeks of work, they had their breakthrough. Samantha called Admiral Morrison immediately. "We can track their ships now," she said, "and we can see their supply routes clearly. They use fixed paths between their worlds." This information went straight to Lieutenant Eric Sullivan, who led Earth's strike teams. Eric had been a Navy SEAL before the alien contact. Now he used those skills in space. "The Council ships will be passing through this area in 10 hours, Eric told his team, pointing to a star map. "They're carrying fuel and weapons to their main base. We'll take those supplies for ourselves." Eric's team set up their ambush carefully. They hid their ships behind a small moon and waited. When the Council supply ships came, they were completely surprised. The human ships disabled their engines with precise shots, then boarded the ships. "They never expected us to actually board their vessels," Eric said later as his team unloaded the captured supplies at Earth's new forward base. "They have better technology, but their soldiers aren't used to close combat. We are." On the Council homeworld, the leaders were shocked. Supreme Counselor Dres Carr called an emergency meeting. "How are these humans doing this?" he demanded. "They were supposed to be a primitive species." One of the military advisors, a tall reptilian alien, showed a report. "They don't fight like normal species. They use what they call guerrilla tactics. Small groups hitting weak points instead of attacking our strong points. And they've somehow learned to use our communication systems," another counselor added. "They know our movements before we make them." Dres Carr slammed his fist on the table. "Find their weakness. No species can resist the Council forever." Back on Earth, Daniel Harris reviewed the latest battle reports. Earth had won almost every encounter so far, but he knew that wouldn't last. "The Council is adaptable," he told President Wright. "They're learning our tactics. We need to keep changing, keep surprising them." The President nodded. "What's our next move?" "We found something interesting," Daniel said. He showed her images of a distant planet. "There are other species that don't like the Council's rule. This world, Tellus Prime, has been under Council control for 50 years. They might help us if we help them first." President Wright considered this. "So we could have allies out there?" "Yes," Daniel replied. "The Council has made many enemies. They just haven't had the courage to fight back until now." As they talked, Earth ships continued their raids across Council space. Each success gave humans more confidence and made the Council look weaker to other species watching the conflict. The Council had expected a quick surrender. Instead, they found themselves in a war unlike any they had fought before, against an enemy who refused to follow the rules of conventional warfare. 3 months into the conflict, Earth's forces had spread across many star systems. They had established bases on empty planets and moons, creating a buffer zone between Earth and Council space. The war was not going as the Council had planned. Captain Lisa Rodriguez was on patrol near the edge of Council space when her ship received a strange message. "Captain, we're picking up a signal," said her communications officer. "It's using an old Earth code, but it's coming from a Council ship." Lisa was suspicious. It could be a trap. "Keep our shields up and weapons ready." The message was simple. "Want to talk? Not all Council agrees with war. Meet at these coordinates." Admiral Morrison gave Lisa permission to investigate, but with backup ships hiding nearby. Lisa's ship arrived at the meeting point, an empty region of space far from any planets. A small Council ship was waiting. It made no threatening moves. "This is Captain Lisa Rodriguez of Earth. We received your message." The face that appeared on the screen was not what Lisa expected. It was gray with 4 eyes and looked worried. I am Counselor Vreen of the Tellarite Confederation, the alien said. I speak for several council species who disagree with this conflict. Lisa listened carefully as Vreen explained the situation. The council was splitting into two groups. Some wanted to crush Earth completely. Others, like Vreen, thought the war was a mistake. Many of us joined the council for protection and trade, Vreen said, not to conquer other worlds. The attack on your planet was wrong. Vreen shared valuable information, the locations of council military bases, the movement of their ships, and most importantly, news that other planets under council rule were watching Earth's resistance with hope. If you can keep fighting, others may join you, Vreen said. The council is not as united as they want everyone to believe. Meanwhile, General Peter Coleman was building Earth's forward bases on abandoned worlds. These bases served two purposes. They protected Earth by creating a defensive line, and they showed other species that humans were here to stay. Peter walked through the newest base on a rocky moon. Workers were setting up living quarters, defense systems, and communication arrays. How soon until we're fully operational? He asked his second-in-command. 2 days, sir. The shield generators are already working. Peter nodded and looked at the star map. Earth now had presence in 12 star systems. It was an impressive achievement for a species that had only recently developed faster than light travel. A soldier approached Peter with urgent news. Sir, we have visitors. A ship from Tellus Prime is requesting permission to land. This was unexpected. Tellus Prime was under council control. The ship landed, and 3 tall, thin aliens emerged. They had pale blue skin and moved gracefully despite the moon's low gravity. We come seeking asylum, their leader said. Our world has been under council rule for 50 years. We've been watching your resistance. We want to help. Peter contacted Earth immediately. President Wright agreed to meet with these potential allies. This could change everything. Back in council space, Supreme Counselor Drezkar was becoming more angry with each passing day. Reports of human victories kept coming in. Worse, some council worlds were showing signs of unrest. These humans must be crushed, Drezkar told his loyal supporters. If other species see they can fight us and win, everything we've built will fall apart. One of his military commanders suggested a drastic plan. We have the planet killer weapon. We could use it on one of their colony worlds as a demonstration. Drezkar considered this. The planet killer had not been used in over a century. Using it would shock many council members. But perhaps fear was the only way to restore order. Prepare the weapon, he ordered. Target their colony on New Terra. Show these humans the true power of the council. What Drezkar didn't know was that Counselor Vreen had heard about this plan. A warning message was already racing toward Earth. The warning from Counselor Vreen reached Earth barely in time. New Terra, Earth's first colony beyond the solar system, had 10,000 settlers. They had just 8 hours before the planet killer would arrive. Colonel Ryan Mitchell led the emergency evacuation. Transport ships rushed from Earth and nearby bases to New Terra. Move only essential belongings, Ryan instructed the colonists over the emergency broadcast. Each person gets 1 bag. We have limited space and limited time. Families lined up at the spaceports with scared faces. Children cried as they left their homes behind. Ryan worked tirelessly, directing ships and keeping people calm. 6 hours remaining, his assistant reported. We've evacuated 30% of the population. Ryan pushed his tired team harder. That's not good enough. We need to get everyone off this planet. As the final hours ticked away, the evacuation became more desperate. The last ships were packed beyond safe capacity. Ryan stayed on the surface, making sure no one was left behind. 1 hour left, his assistant said. Sir, we need to leave now. Ryan made one final check of the colony. The buildings stood empty. The streets were quiet. He hoped they hadn't missed anyone. His ship was the last to leave New Terra. As they reached a safe distance, Ryan looked back at the beautiful green planet. It had taken years to make it suitable for human life. The Council weapon arrived exactly when Vreen had warned. From space, the colonists watched as a bright beam hit their world. The oceans boiled. The ground cracked. Within minutes, the once beautiful planet became a lifeless rock. The refugees were devastated. They had lost everything. But instead of breaking human resolve, the destruction of New Terra unified Earth's forces like never before. Admiral Morrison called an emergency meeting with all Earth's military leaders. The room was tense with anger and determination. "The Council thinks this will make us surrender," Admiral Morrison said. "They're wrong. This changes everything. We're implementing Operation Reckoning immediately." Operation Reckoning was Earth's most ambitious plan yet. Instead of small raids, humans would launch coordinated attacks on multiple Council worlds at the same time. Not to destroy them, but to show that Earth could strike anywhere. "We won't target civilians," President Wright insisted. "We're better than the Council. Target only military bases and government buildings." Within days, Earth ships jumped into the space above 12 different Council worlds. Their sudden appearance caused panic. Council citizens had been told that humans were primitive beings who could barely leave their own planet. Now human ships were in the skies over their homes. On the Council capital world, Supreme Counselor Drezkar was in the middle of a speech when the attack began. Earth ships disabled the planet's defense systems and communication networks. Then a message played on every screen and speaker across the planet. "This is Admiral Jane Morrison of Earth," the message said. "We could have destroyed your cities today, just as you destroy our colony. But we are not like you. We target only those who chose to attack us, not innocent people." Earth forces destroyed military bases and government buildings, then jumped away before the Council could respond. They left behind evidence of Council lies for the local population to find. Similar attacks happened on 11 other worlds, each one precise, each one showing Council citizens that their leaders had lied about humans. When the attacks ended, Council worlds were in chaos. People demanded answers from their leaders. Why had they been told humans were primitive? Why was this war happening? The Council had always claimed to be peaceful. In his private chamber, Drezkar raged at his advisors. How did they reach our homeworld? How did they get past our defenses? One brave advisor spoke up. "Sir, I believe we have seriously underestimated these humans." After Operation Reckoning, the conflict entered a new phase. Earth was no longer just defending itself. Now it was actively challenging the Council's control of the galaxy. Scientist Nicole Bennett made an important discovery while studying captured Council data. She worked in a secure lab on Mars, where Earth kept its most sensitive research projects. "Look at this," Nicole said to her team, pointing at the screen. "The Council has been stopping technological progress on purpose." The files showed a clear pattern. Whenever a species invented faster than light travel and joined the Council, their scientific progress suddenly slowed down. The Council provided some technology that prevented these species from developing their own. "They keep everyone dependent on them," Nicole explained to Admiral Morrison later that day. "They give just enough technology to seem helpful, but they hold back anything that might make other species equal to them." Nicole's team prepared a special data package with this evidence. Earth ships began broadcasting it to every world they visited. The message was simple: the Council has been lying to you. They don't want partners. They want servants. On many planets, people began questioning their Council rulers. Some even started small rebellions. The Council had to send soldiers to restore order. Meanwhile, Ambassador Kyle Harrison was meeting with representatives from other species who wanted to break free from Council control. They gathered on a neutral moon far from Council patrols. "Earth has shown us that the Council can be fought," said a representative from Tellus Prime. "For too long, we've accepted their rule because we thought we had no choice." Kyle nodded. "We don't want to replace the Council with human rule. We want all species to be truly free and equal." After many long talks, 7 former Council protectorates agreed to form an alliance with Earth. They called it the Free Systems Alliance. Each member would keep their independence but would help defend the others. With new allies came new resources and knowledge. Captain Gregory Fisher led a joint human-alien fleet to the Proxima shipyards, which made many of the Council's military vessels. "Our goal is to take control of the shipyards intact," Gregory told the combined forces. "We need those production facilities for our new alliance." The attack was carefully planned. The Allied ships approached from multiple directions, confusing the Council defenders. By using tactics from different species, they were unpredictable. The Council commander at Proxima sent urgent messages for help, but none came. The Council was dealing with too many problems across too many worlds. After a short but intense battle, the Proxima shipyards fell to the Alliance. It was a major victory. Now they could build their own advanced ships instead of modifying older vessels. On Earth, President Wright addressed the United Nations. The room was packed with leaders from every nation. Screens showed representatives from the Alliance worlds watching from their own planets. 1 year ago, the Galactic Council came to Earth expecting us to bow down and accept their rule, the President said. They thought we would be grateful for their attention. When we refused, they tried to intimidate us. When that failed, they tried to destroy us. She paused, looking at the faces around her. But they made a serious mistake. They assumed all species are like them, eager to control others, willing to use force to get what they want. They didn't understand that humans value freedom above all. And they certainly didn't expect us to find friends among the very worlds they've been oppressing. The President's speech was broadcast across Earth and to all Alliance worlds. It marked a turning point. What had started as Earth's lonely stand against the Council had grown into a movement that threatened the Council's very existence. On the Council homeworld, Supreme Counselor Drezkar made his own plans. The Council had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. He would not let it fall apart now. He ordered all available ships to prepare for one final, massive attack against Earth. Major Andrea Collins didn't sleep much these days. As the head of Earth's intelligence network, she had agents and informants on dozens of worlds. Her job was to know what the Council was planning before they did it. Andrea was studying reports in her office when an urgent message arrived from one of her best sources. The message was clear. The Council was gathering all its remaining ships for one massive attack against Earth. "This is it," she told Admiral Morrison during an emergency meeting. "They're putting everything into this attack. If they lose the war." The Alliance leaders joined the meeting through secure channels. Each had information to share about Council ship movements in their sectors. "They're stripping defenses from many worlds to build this attack fleet," said the Telluric commander. "They're desperate." Admiral Morrison looked at the combined data. "They think they're coming to destroy us. Instead, they're walking into a trap." For weeks, Earth had let certain information leak to Council spies. False locations of Earth's headquarters, fake defense plans. The Council thought they knew where to strike. "Are the preparations at Beta Station complete?" Admiral Morrison asked. Andrea nodded. "Everything is ready. The Council believes Beta Station is Earth's secret command center. When they attack it, they'll find something very different." The next day, sensors detected a massive jump signature at the edge of Alliance space. The Council Armada had arrived. Over 300 ships of all sizes. It was the largest fleet ever assembled in the galaxy's history. The Council ships moved directly toward Beta Station, exactly as Andrea had predicted. They expected to find Earth's leaders and main fleet there. Instead, they found an empty space station with only a small defensive force. Supreme Counselor Drezkar watched from his command ship as they approached Beta Station. He smiled, thinking victory was certain. "Begin the attack," he ordered. "Today we end the human problem forever." Council ships surrounded Beta Station and opened fire. The small defensive force fought bravely but was quickly overwhelmed. Drezkar watched with satisfaction as the station's shields failed. "Send boarding parties," he commanded. "I want their leaders captured alive." That's when the trap was sprung. Jump signatures appeared all around the Council fleet. Not just Earth ships, but vessels from every Alliance world. They had been hiding behind nearby moons and asteroids, waiting for this moment. Admiral Morrison's voice came over all communication channels. "Attention, Council fleet. You are surrounded. Power down your weapons and engines. This conflict can end today without further bloodshed." On his command ship, Dreskar raged at being tricked. "Never. The Council does not surrender. Fight to the last ship." The battle that followed lasted 3 days. Council ships fought fiercely, but they were surrounded and cut off from escape. The Alliance forces worked together, using tactics that complemented each other's strengths. Human ships were fast and unpredictable. Tellarite vessels had powerful shields. The bird-like avians had the best targeting systems in the galaxy. Together, they were more than a match for the Council's larger but less coordinated fleet. By the final day, only Driskar's command ship remained, its engines damaged and weapons failing. Still, the Supreme Councilor refused to surrender. "We will board his vessel," Admiral Morrison told her officers. "Capture Dreskar alive if possible. This war ends today." Lieutenant Eric Sullivan led the boarding party. They cut through the ship's hull and fought their way to the bridge. Council soldiers fought hard, but humans had more experience with close combat. When Eric finally reached the bridge, he found Dreskar alone. The other officers had either fled or been captured. "Supreme Councilor Dreskar," Eric said, "by authority of the Free Systems Alliance, you are under arrest for war crimes against Earth and other worlds." The once powerful Councilor had no choice but to surrender. As he was led away in restraints, the news spread quickly across the galaxy. The Council's military power was broken. The war was over. That evening, Admiral Morrison sent a message to all Alliance worlds. "Today marks a new beginning for all free peoples of the galaxy. The era of Council dominance has ended." 5 years passed since the final battle. The galaxy had changed in ways no one could have imagined before Earth entered the galactic scene. General Jane Morrison, once Admiral of Earth's fleet, now served as Earth's representative to the new Galactic Assembly. The old Council chamber had been rebuilt. Where once 17 species ruled over others, now 52 worlds sent representatives as equals. Jane walked through the grand hall, nodding to aliens of all shapes and sizes. Some had been enemies just a few years ago. Now they worked together. She met Ambassador Kyle Harrison by the large window overlooking the capital city. The view still amazed her, towers of crystal and metal reaching toward the sky, flying vehicles moving between them, beings from 100 different worlds walking the streets below. "Hard to believe how much has changed," Kyle said, following her gaze. "Remember when we thought we were alone in the universe?" Jane smiled. "Sometimes I miss those simpler days. But I wouldn't trade this for anything." They turned as a group of representatives from 3 newly discovered worlds entered the chamber. These species had just developed space travel. In the old days, the Council would have moved quickly to control them. Now, they were welcomed as new friends. "They're nervous," Kyle observed. "It's a big step, joining the galactic community." Jane nodded. "We'll make sure they're treated fairly. No species should go through what we did." Back on Earth, things had changed too. Dr. Samantha Powell's Xenotechnology Institute had become famous across the galaxy. Scientists from dozens of worlds came to study and share knowledge. The old Council had kept species separate, afraid they would become too powerful if they worked together. Earth had broken that pattern. In one of the Institute's large labs, Samantha watched as human researchers worked side by side with aliens. They were developing new medical treatments that could help beings with completely different biology. "This is what we fought for," she told her assistant. "Not just to defend Earth, but to create something better than what existed before." Lieutenant Eric Sullivan, now a captain, led peacekeeping missions to worlds still recovering from Council rule. His current assignment was on a planet where different species had been forced to compete for resources. Now they were learning to cooperate. The transition isn't always easy, Eric told his team as they prepared to mediate another meeting between local leaders. But every world deserves the chance to find its own path, without anyone controlling them from above. Earth ships now patrolled trade routes that had once been controlled by Council enforcers. They made sure all ships could travel safely, regardless of their world of origin. Piracy and slavery, once common under Council rule, were being eliminated. On the former Council homeworld, some still resisted the new order. They had been powerful once, and they wanted that power back. But most had adapted, finding that cooperation brought benefits they hadn't expected. President Allison Wright, now in her second term, addressed the Galactic Assembly on the 5th anniversary of the new alliance. Representatives from all member worlds listened carefully. 5 years ago, we faced a choice, she began. Accept the false diplomacy offered by the Council, or stand for true freedom and equality. Earth chose freedom, not just for ourselves, but for all beings who share this galaxy. She looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of many different species. The Council believed diplomacy was just a tool to get what they wanted. They used nice words to hide their real goals. True diplomacy requires honesty and respect. It means seeing others as equals, not as resources to be used. The President gestured to the stars visible through the dome above. There is so much we still don't know about this galaxy, so many worlds we haven't discovered yet. But one thing is certain, we will face the future together, as equals, not as rulers and servants. The chamber filled with the sounds of agreement from many different species. Among them were voices that had once belonged to the Council, now part of something better. Earth's rejection of false diplomacy had not led to isolation, as the Council had threatened. Instead, it had created a new path for all species who valued freedom.